I am not the biggest Paul Pierce fan at all. If anything, he is my most hated player in NBA history. I really do not like Paul Pierce. I do not. Hello and welcome to the Monday, March 15th edition of the TV on Basketball podcast with your host, TV. Hope you all are having a fantastic day and thank you for clicking on to watch or listen to today's episode. Before we start, I have to plug my other platforms. Remember to follow at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast and for other great content. If you're on YouTube, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell so you will not miss an episode. Thank you very much. That would be highly appreciated. And for all the podcast listeners, remember to subscribe, leave a 5-star review if you're on Apple, and for my Spotify, Anchor, and Podbean listeners, just continue to show your support in any way possible. I appreciate all of you. I have an awesome show lined up for you today. I didn't get to talk about this on Friday, but we're going to be looking into the Hall of Fame finalists for the 2021 class, so that's going to be fun to look at. I'm also going to be talking about news regarding Joel Embiid, obviously my power rankings, and I'm going to end it off with my pick of the week. So yeah, action-packed episode. I realize my episodes have gone a bit long. I'm going to try to keep it between the 30 and 40 minute range, so hopefully that that makes it a lot more watchable or, listenable, if that's even a word. But again, just thank you guys for all your support. Almost at 30 subscribers on YouTube. So if you can, like I said, hit the subscribe button. And we're creeping up on 2,600 listens on the podcast. So yeah, lots of support going on recently. I appreciate all of you. But without further ado, let's get right into the first topic. And we're going to start here. We're going to be talking about the Joel Embiid situation. And there was a scary moment on Friday night because Embiid came down really hard on his leg and he was grimacing in pain. This is a scene that we've seen far too many times in Joel Embiid's career. And with his injury history, it's hard not to expect the worst with him. It looked really bad. I mean, he got up on his own merit, which was very encouraging, especially for 76er fans. But everyone expected the worst, and this is not us wanting to Joel Embiid to get hurt or anything. It's just because he has a long line of injury history, and when you see another type of leg injury like he suffered on Friday, it's kind of hard not to imagine it like that. But luckily, he it turned out to only be I think a sprain or something, and he's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks. Thank God, thank God that he is not going to be out for a couple months or something like that because. That has happened far too often. Thought it was going to be much worse, but at least there's no structural damage. And this is my concern going into the season. Yes, I am happy that the 76ers are doing well. They're number 1 in the East still, 27-12. But, and this is why I didn't want to buy in, their injury concerns are always going to be there. Whether it's Joel Embiid, whether it is Ben Simmons, their 2 top guys have a history of being injured. I mean, the 76ers are well known to have these guys sit out a full year in the beginning of their careers and then come into the league. That's the thing with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. You just don't know what's going to bother them next. Is it a shoulder? Is it a knee? Is it a foot? We've seen a lot of issues with the foot for Joel Embiid in the past. Even face. If people remember Joel Embiid wearing the mask, he's even had some issues with bone fractures in his face. And that's my only thing with the 76ers. Can they go through this season and into the playoffs with a healthy team? And I don't want to be pessimistic here, but history tells us it's not going to happen. And this could be kind of the start of it. I don't want to see it happen, but it says 2 to 3 weeks to Embiid. I would try to keep him out a month. I really would. And I know he's up for MVP. Yes. But the 76ers just need him healthy for the playoffs. They really do. And I think they got kind of the top 3 seeds on lock. Actually, no. Yeah, maybe top 3 seeds. I think they got that somewhere in the top 3 on lock. But it's not going to matter if they're going to get thrown out the first or second round again. And that's what they need to do with Embiid. Just make sure he's healthy. Just make sure he's healthy. And I want him to do well. I want him to be, playing at his best, because he is playing at an MVP level, the best he's ever played in his career. I mean, if you remember my MVP, my midseason award podcast with Basketball Lab, we all had him as our MVP. Basically, 30 points a game, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. On the best team in the East, like it's quite an easy choice there. But the 76ers, like obviously they want regular season success. They need to make it far into the playoffs. They really do, especially with these like two absolutely fantastic players that they have. They need to take advantage of this glorious opportunity. Just get Embiid healthy. Great thing it's not structural damage. Hope he recovers soon. Hopefully nothing like too bad will happen. But I just want to see him back and healthy. Now will this affect the 76ers, where they're going to finish? Yeah, but I still think they're going to be top 3. Will this affect his MVP chances? Yeah. I think this is a good chance for someone like Nikola Jokic to go on a really big run and take over that number 1 spot, which I am 80 to 90% sure that will happen over these next 2 to 3 weeks. But if Embiid's healthy and the 76ers are in a still good position by the time they come back, I still think they have a chance at a good run in the playoffs. Let's move on to this. Again, I didn't get to talk about this on Friday, but we're going to go into this here today. I'm going to be talking about the Hall of Fame finalists that have been announced. If you're wondering why we didn't see like last year's ceremony and stuff like that, it's because of COVID. I think they're still doing it this year. But obviously that class last year was led by Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Ray Allen is there as well. But hopefully I can correct myself soon. But at the same time, it's still a thing. Actually, no, he's already in the Hall of Fame. What am I saying? But yeah. But this week, or last week, we got to know the finalists for this year's class. So obviously there's some really cool guys like on the ballot. And I'm going to be talking about 4 guys in depth that I've watched, or at least I have some decent knowledge on, and I get to determine if they should be in the Hall of Fame or not. There's 4 guys here. We're going to talk about all of them. And let me know down below if you guys agree or disagree. Should these guys be in the Hall of Fame? Let's go into the main guy, the biggest name of this class. It's arguable, definitely arguable. But let's talk about Chris Bosh. The Bostrich. He, had a very, very good career. Started off as a Toronto Raptor. He was a number 1 guy there. Didn't do much in terms of team success, but he was still a very good player. He's played 893 games in his career. 19.2 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2-time NBA champion, 11-time All-Star, and All-NBA once in 2007. Chris Bosh is an unsung hero of the Miami Dynasty because obviously people are going to be talking about LeBron. They're going to be talking about D. Wade. And Chris Bosh always gets lost in the shuffle. But Chris Bosh's role in the Miami Heat was significantly different than what he had in Toronto, where he was the number 1 guy. He was getting post touch after post touch, hitting that classic mid-range shot every single time. And then he moves to the Miami Heat, and they ask him to completely, shift his game to like a different area, because when he was with Toronto, he wasn't known as a defensive guy. He was a good mid-range shooter. He was a good post player, and he was pretty athletic. But he wasn't, like, his game, I wouldn't say completely changed, but it had a significant change in Miami. Because when he went to Miami, yes, he was still the third scoring option. He was still a very good player, He averaged, in his time in Miami, 18 points a game, 7 rebounds. But things changed there in Miami, and he became a better defender, and he became a better three-point shooter. A much better three-point shooter. One of the better stretch bigs in the league. And that's something that we have to really appreciate about Chris Bosh. There's always, in those, 3 superstar, and all those championship teams, there's always someone who's going to have to take a back seat. And Chris Bosh, having all that time in Toronto, being the number 1 guy, had no ego. I mean, he probably did want to score more, probably. But at the same time, he knew what the Miami Heat needed of him, and he performed that to the best of his ability. People remember him for a lot of great memories, Obviously, with the Miami Heat, he was the one who kicked it out to Ray Allen for the game tying three to save Miami in that series. Obviously, his hilarious interview moments. He was just a good guy. He was just a really good guy, and unfortunately, his career was cut short due to a life-threatening condition. It was blood clots in his lungs, so it was unsafe for him to travel and stuff like that, which ended his NBA career quite abruptly. But I believe he's still a Hall of Famer. I believe he definitely is. He 11-time All-Star. I think if you're over a 10-time All-Star, I think that's a pretty good case on its own. But being a key member of those two championships in Miami, the way that he was able to shift his game from what he did in Toronto to Miami, like I said, he was just a very, very consistent, very good big man in this league. And he's definitely underrated. I can confidently say that the Heat would have not won any of those championships without the defensive presence of Chris Bosh there. And he does 100% deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. If you really want to make, the argument that he isn't, you can say that he didn't play enough years, which I guess that could be the case. But being out of your 13, 14-year career, making 11 All-Star games, being a two-time champion, and it's not like you're sitting at the end of the bench. You are a key contributor. I think that's enough. I 100% think that's enough. Chris Bosh 100% deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I cannot wait to see him in Naismith and just hearing his speech, because his speech when his jersey got retired in Miami was great, but it's gonna be awesome to see him be enshrined in Springfield. The next guy I want to talk about, oh boy, this is gonna trigger some people. Paul Pierce, yes. Now look. I am not the biggest Paul Pierce fan at all. If anything, he is my most hated player in NBA history. I really do not like Paul Pierce. I do not like his takes after his NBA career. I didn't like the way he was kind of comparing himself to Kobe, trying to make the whole Kobe thing being the farewell tour, because as Draymond Green says, nobody loved you like that. You're not Kobe. But I would be an idiot to think that this guy's not a Hall of Famer. 19.7 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 10-time All-Star, 4-time NBA, 2008 champion, and also won the Finals MVP. And look, like I said, I don't like the guy. I don't. He has killed my Raptors on several occasions. One with the Brooklyn Nets, he hit clutch shot after clutch shot, and then he also freaking blocked Kyle Lowry in the final play of the series. And then also he hit that game winner when he was with the Washington Wizards against Toronto, where he banked it in. And yeah, just more and more pain that this guy's caused to us. And like I said, his post-career takes are not helping his case for me like him more. And then there's obviously Poopgate. I mean, whether you want to believe that, however you want to perceive it, he had to use the washroom or something. Yeah. And also him saying that he was better than Dwayne Wade as well. So there's a lot of things I could really bash on Paul Pierce here. But at the end of the day, he's a Celtics legend. One of the best scorers of the 2000s. A very, very consistent NBA player. It's always in the always an MVP, a All-Star lock, perennial All-Star. I mean, at his best, he was averaging 27 points per game. He was a good 3-point shooter. And his game was simple. His game was just simple. And he was just one of those players where you are absolutely comfortable him dribbling out the clock at the end of the games and getting you a good shot, because he will do that for you. Very consistent. I mean, and he just 100% to be in the Hall of Fame. 100% deserves to be. The truth, as he's called, lots of memorable moments in the NBA. I do remember him, being kind of that guy. Although they had Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, he was still the number one guy. He was still the number one guy on a championship team. And could he have won more? Maybe. But at the same time, him, I believe he's still I think top 25 or top 20 in points all time. He deserves to be there. He 100% deserves to be there. I think there really is no debate that Paul Pierce is not a Hall of Famer. Obviously, his numbers also retired in Boston. Like I said, Boston legend. And he has done he has been like the most successful Celtic basically of the 21st century, and I think that's really not really debatable. And I think this is an easy choice. He is an NBA Hall of Famer, or not even NBA, Basketball Hall of Famer. He has done too much. He has the accolades. He has the totals. He is 100% a Hall of Famer. Now let's go on to the next guy. This one's might cause a bit of debate because he has been on the ballot for a while now, and it has been and I feel like we're gonna have this conversation every year, unless he gets inducted this year, which I'll say that at the end. We're talking about Chris Webber. Chris Webber has been on the Hall of Fame ballot for a while now, and he's been denied multiple times. But he's back. He is a finalist this year. And let's go through it, because he, at his peak, he was a top 10, arguably top 5 NBA player in the league. 20.7 points a game in his career, almost 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 5-time All-Star and 5-time All-NBA, was Rookie of the Year, and obviously member of the Fab Five in college, the iconic NCAA team. He was an absolute beast in both the NBA and the college level. He didn't have the longevity as some of the other candidates, like a Paul Pierce, like a Chris Bosh, but I think this is not really a hot take, but I can confidently say that he was better than both of them in his prime. In his prime, Chris Webber was, like I said, a borderline top 5 NBA player, was a beast with the Sacramento Kings. He had his moments with the the Wizards and the Warriors, but he really found his home with the Kings, and he was very, very good for them. I mean, at his peak, I believe he was like top 3 in MVP voting. I could be wrong, but at his peak with the Sacramento Kings, 27 points a game, 11 rebounds, 4.5 assists. He's insane. He's an absolutely insane player. He is athletic. He can hit the mid-range. He was just an offensive monster. And he was a really good defender. He was very good, at least a block and a steal a game average on his career. And honestly, at this point, I don't know how he's not in the Hall of Fame. You know, if you mix in like his peak, I mean, he had basically a 5-year, arguably even more of a peak. But mix that in, get in his college accolades, where he was a very successful in college as well, 2-time NCAA All-Tourney team, made the All Big Ten, was the Rookie of the Year in 1992. And again, a member of the iconic Fab Five. I mean, I think this is a good enough resume to make the Hall of Fame. Now, yes, he does have that stigma around him regarding the timeout incident and all that, but his accolades on both the NBA and college level should be enough for him to get into the Hall of Fame. And now think about it this way. 2002. Obviously the infamous Game 6 Western Conference Finals, Lakers versus Kings. Whether you believe it's a fix or not, I'm actually leaning towards that it was kind of a fix, but you can't really like change it now. Obviously, it's been 20 years. I mean, if the Kings made it to the finals, and they would have to go up against that New Jersey Nets team, they're winning it. The Kings team with Peja Stojakovic, Mike Bibby, Doug Christie, Vlade, and Chris Webber was going to beat that Jason Kidd-led team. And if they beat the Lakers, which I believe they were the better team in that series, they got absolutely screwed in that Game 6. Obviously, the calls weren't the deciding factor, but man, I think they got screwed there. And if you add that NBA championship to his resume, he would be first ballot. He would be. And possibly would have been Finals MVP as well. So the fact that kind of prevented him as well because of that whole betting scandal and stuff like that back then, that could have changed his whole outlook of his career. And I don't think we should really be holding that against him. And could he have been a lot better? Yes. Could it have more sustained success? Yes. But he was still a fantastic NBA player. And I really do believe he is a Hall of Famer. He really is, mixing both the college and NBA level. I I really do think that he deserves to be in there. And it's a shame that he hasn't been there yet. And maybe it's because in the past the classes are a bit too tough to get in. But when the class is what it is right now, I think this is his best chance. And if he doesn't make it here, it's going to be hard for me to see him make it down the line. So I really do hope Chris Webber makes it. I really do. Then the final guy I want to talk about. And again, this is someone I'm like, how is he not in the Hall of Fame yet? When I think of this guy, I think of him as one of the best defenders of all time. Was one of the best players on the 2004, I believe it's 2004 Pistons team. We're talking Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace is just one of those players where his stats do not do him justice. You look at him, 1,088 games played, basically 6 points a game and 10 rebounds, 1.5 assists. Look at the block numbers. I think that could be a bit more impressive, but still 2 blocks per game, 1.5 steals. But this guy and his accolades, especially on the defensive end, four-time Defensive Player of the Year winner, 4-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, 6-time All-Defense. How is he not in? How is this guy not in? His defense was one of the best. Like, he's one of the best defenders of the century. And honestly, like, if you look back to that 2004 winning championship winning Pistons team, obviously everyone's gonna say, "Oh, didn't have a superstar. It was great." You know, Chauncey, Rip, Tayshaun, Rasheed, and Ben Wallace. They were just a fantastic group. But I could make the argument that Ben Wallace was their most important player. His defense was insane. And the thing is, he wasn't the biggest guy on the court, which is insane. Like, people want to always talk about, you know, how PJ Tucker is doing so well defending, especially because he's only, like, 6'5", 6'6". I mean, Ben Wallace was the defensive anchor of a Pistons team where they had to go up against Shaq. Where, mind you, this is one of the most dominant players of all time, Shaquille O'Neal. And the defensive anchor was someone who was 5 inches shorter at 6'9", and who weighed 240 pounds. And he was so good on the defensive end. People know the Fro himself, man. He's so good. He was such a good on the defensive end, and he doesn't have the offensive numbers to back it up, but he was so good. And like I said, I believe he was the most important member of that Pistons team. And he kind of has a Dennis Rodman type, you know, case for him. Because Dennis Rodman himself is a Hall of Famer. Sure, he scored a bit more and had more rebounds, but it's the same idea. And Ben Wallace has more Defensive Player of the Years than him. He has more, not the same all defensive teams, but he has, I think, this more All-Star appearances, more All-NBA appearances. Like, he deserves to be in it. Especially if you're arguably the best player on a championship team. I think that is a good case for you to be in the Hall of Fame. He should be there by now. I know his career took a dip after he left Detroit, you know, signing that big deal with the Chicago Bulls afterwards, but he still deserves to be in. He 100% still deserves to be in, and being one of the best defenders of you know, that 2000s era, I think is a good moniker to have. And I think, again, maybe in the previous years it's been a tough class. This year, he 100% deserves to be in. But yeah, those are the 4 guys I wanted to talk about. 2 other guys I want to briefly touch on. Tim Hardaway Sr. Yes, he was a very good point guard back in the day. I think he had a better case to be in the Hall of Fame than his Run TMC teammate Mitch Richmond. But I just don't think he did enough. He has a good case. But I don't think he's going to have enough to be in the Hall of Fame. And then Marquise Johnson, I think he has a good chance to make it to the Hall of Fame. He had a pretty good NBA career, but most known for his time in college. Again, the type of stuff where you have a combined college and NBA accolades. I think someone like a Marquise Johnson, obviously he is I believe a commentator now. I forgot for which team. Maybe the Milwaukee Bucks, but yeah, 20 points a game in his career, 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists. Sure, he didn't play a lot of years in the NBA. He played a total of 10 years. But his college career is really what's going to carry him, and I think he has a good chance of making the Hall of Fame as well. But yeah, let me know down below what you guys think. Agree or disagree? Do you think Chris Webber should be in the Hall of Fame? Do you think he shouldn't be? I think that's the one that's going to create the most discussion. Before we get into the my weekly power rankings, I gotta do some other news and notes. PJ Tucker is away from the Rockets team right now. I believe he was frustrated after the Thursday or Friday night game, and he was like, "How come I have not been traded yet? How have I not been traded?" And now, the Rockets, I think, are still on that 14 or 15 game losing streak. I think they're looking to get rid of him. They're doing the thing like Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, just keeping him away from the team for the time being until they figure out what to do with him. So that's happening. Klay Thompson spoke about his injury this weekend, and he's hoping that he'd be back by November. He says it's a long process, and he's taking it day by day. But he is hoping, and he is striving to reach that All-NBA level once again. But coming off of an ACL and then an Achilles injury, it's tough. It's really tough. I want Klay Thompson to do well. I want him to be back. One of the most fun players to watch in the NBA, as a personality off the court and just like the way he shoots on the court. I miss seeing Klay on the floor. Hopefully he gets back healthy though. Hopefully he gets back healthy. The Warriors need to take this slow, and hopefully, the recovery goes good. And then finally, the Oklahoma City Thunder made a trade this weekend, trading Hamidou Diallo, former slam dunk champion, to the Detroit Pistons in exchange for a 2027. Yes, you heard that right, a 2027 second round pick, and Svi Mikhailuk, I think. Yeah. My only thoughts on this is, again, the Thunder are getting more picks than they have since, and they basically drafted a 6th grader. Yeah. This is a 2027 second round pick. Like, you traded for someone who was in the 7th, 6th, 8th grade? Like, what? Honestly, man. Like, the Thunder has to do something with those picks. It's impossible to trade, to draft all these guys. It's just impossible. Come on, Thunder, do something. Just do something. I really hope to see a big trade soon with this team. But yeah, those are the other news and notes. Let's get into this week's power rankings. 9 teams stayed on. There's one new team that just slid in, and I can't wait to talk about them. But there's definitely a lot of movement. So here is this week's TV's NBA power rankings. Let's start off at number 10. We have the Miami Heat. This team has been absolutely rolling. Jimmy Butler is playing at an MVP level, honestly. I had a feeling once Jimmy Butler wasn't named to the All-Star team that we're going to look back at the season, we're going to see that Jimmy Butler didn't make the All-Star team, and we're going to be like, how on earth did he not make the All-Star team? But it's because he didn't play a lot in the first half of the season and stuff like that. But, man, this guy has been phenomenal. In that win versus Orlando yesterday, 29 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. And he's been doing triple-doubles on the daily. Playing extremely well this season in general. The Heat are playing good. And the thing is, they just got healthy. They're just getting healthy. A lot of health and safety protocols early on in the season. Obviously, you got the injuries to Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and all them. But now they're healthy. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do for the rest of the season, because I could see them going on a big, big run. And this is a team that you just do not want to face in the playoffs, because you know that they can buckle down, they can lock down, and they're just going to be dangerous. They're just going to be a dangerous team. And right now, with the way they're playing, they're going to continue to come up these power rankings. Right now, I have them at number 10. Coming at number 9, we have the Portland Trailblazers. A tough loss to the Timberwolves yesterday. Tough loss. Because, again, it's the worst team in the league. They tried to mount a comeback. I know that. I mean, the Timberwolves were up by double digits at some point in that quarter. And they did a really good job handling Karl Anthony Towns. But they just couldn't get the win. Good news is, once the NBA clears CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic, they're back in the lineup. So they're going to be fully healthy very soon. So that's some good news. But, you can't lose to the Wolves and expect to not go down a bit. So, yeah, even though the Blazers went down a spot basically, I still see them as really good. And they must be happy that they're getting just 2 of their starters back. So at number 9, the Blazers. Coming at number 8, we have the Denver Nuggets. Yes, They had a pretty rough week in the sense where they got that loss to the Dallas Mavericks. Jamal Murray, man, you were so inconsistent. It's kind of hard to watch. I want to see him do well, but man, he's just inconsistent. But yeah, a 2-1 week for the Denver Nuggets. Um, a 1-1 week for the Denver Nuggets. And Nikola Jokic is still playing at a high level, and I still think this team can go on a big run. This is his chance to kind of move up in the MVP ladder for sure. And yeah, the Denver Nuggets, I think just because they had like a 1-1 record, I think that was just able to take them over the Blazers this week. So yeah, coming at number 8, we have the Denver Nuggets. Coming at number 7, we have the Los Angeles Clippers. They moved down one spot from my mid-season power rankings. A pretty bad loss to the New Orleans Pelicans, and by pretty bad, it was bad. It was a really, really big deficit. I believe they lost by 20, and they gave up 135 points to the Pelicans. So, yeah, it was definitely a tough game for them. They had a good win against the Warriors. They absolutely trashed them, but yeah, with some of the way the teams are kind of rising right now, especially in the East, like the way that they're playing, the Clippers had to move down a spot. So, yeah, number 7, the Clippers. Coming at number 6, we have the Phoenix Suns. They're still holding tight to that number 2 spot in the West. They lost to the Pacers on Caris LeVert's return, which is absolutely fantastic to see that Caris LeVert is back on the court. But they got a loss there. Sure, they beat the Trailblazers. Good win there for them. But losing to the Pacers, especially when they were struggling, pretty rough game there for them. So, again, with the way the East teams are rolling, the Suns kind of had to move down one spot, but yeah, not too much. But at number 6 this week, I got the Phoenix Suns. Coming in at number 5 is a team that's been absolutely rolling. 3-game winning streak they're on right now. Let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks at number 5. And yes, they defeated the Knicks by 33. They defeated by Wizards by only 6. And yes, they should be winning those games, but they are playing very good. They're getting back to that number 1 form that we've seen these last few years. I still wish they would get a bit more out of Jrue Holiday. I mean, Giannis has been on a triple-double tear, to be completely honest. But Jrue Holiday this year, his stats, 15 points a game, 5 assists. I guess that's okay. I wish they were getting a bit more out of him, or at least involving him more in the offense. But at the same time, the Bucks are still looking good. They're rolling. Giannis is playing at an MVP level. No one's really talking about it because he's been doing this the last 3 years at this point. But yeah, they're rolling right now. They're playing really well. They are number 5 on this week's power rankings. Coming at number 4, we have the Los Angeles Lakers. A 1-1 week for them. Obviously, they're still missing Anthony Davis, who's actually his return is being postponed by another 2 weeks. So that is highly, highly unfortunate. They lost to the Kings on, I believe that was before the All-Star break. But yeah, 1-0 this week. Just want to know, they beat the Pacers, I believe, on the 12th. Kyle Kuzma had a really good game in that one. He had a questionable quote afterwards. I'm not going to say it. But if you know, you know. And hopefully they can continue rolling. Hopefully this is a good confidence booster for Kyle Kuzma. And, yeah, not much to say about the Lakers. They had played one game ever since they got back from the All-Star break. And they got the win. So they stay at number 4. Coming at number 3, we have the Utah Jazz. Still the best team in the league in terms of record. They've been kind of struggling over these last 2 weeks, especially like the week before the All-Star break. They were kind of struggling, and that loss to the Warriors had to make them drop. If they were undefeated this week, I would probably have kept them at number 1 or 2, but that loss to the Warriors really did kind of drop them in this week's power rankings. But they're still a very good team. No significant injuries, knock on wood. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are playing well. I have no doubt in my mind that they could possibly go back to the number 2 or 1 seed if they go on another nice run. So at number 3, give me the Jazz. Coming at number 2, we are talking about the number 1 team in the East. Let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. Talked about them a lot in the opening segment to the show. Losing Embiid hurts, but they are playing still very well. Number 1 in the East, like I said. And with him out for the next 2 to 3 weeks, let's see if Ben Simmons can have another 2018 type run. because if you guys remember, going into the playoffs in 2018, the 76ers went on a double-digit winning streak without Joel Embiid. So Ben Simmons, I mean, he's been kind of up and down this season in terms of the offensive end. He is the clear number one guy there now. Hopefully, he can kind of play himself into form. Again, a good year that no one's really talking about, but yeah, he's still a very good player. Hopefully, he could do really well here. Him and Tobias Harris, and hopefully they can keep it rolling as even when Embiid is hurt. So at number 2, give me the 76ers. Then coming in at number 1, the super team, the team that is playing so well, even without Kevin Durant. Let us talk about these Brooklyn Nets. Harden playing at an MVP level. Kyrie playing at an MVP level. And they are leading this team to lots of wins without KD. And we still haven't seen Blake Griffin on the court yet. This team, if they can just figure this out. I mean, obviously the defense is an issue. But the talent is just overwhelmingly good that I just think that it's definitely possible for them to make it. To make it all the way, to go all the way in this. Because James Harden, he's playing like a point guard, which is crazy. I mean, obviously he's not taking a lot of shots, and I think he's actually enjoying playing basketball more because he doesn't have to take all those shots. Kyrie Irving is playing fantastic that no one's talking about. And they're getting some good production from other players on their team. Bryce Brown, good for them. DeAndre Jordan is actually giving them a bit more than he has in the past. Shamet helping off the bench. Nicholas Claxton giving them some nice backup center minutes. They just need to stay healthy. I think that's the biggest issue, and maybe I will go into that in a different episode. But right now they're looking great, even without KD or Blake. That could maybe rhyme. Tell me if that was a rhyme or not. But I have them number 1 in my power rankings. And yeah, those are my power rankings. Let me know down below if you agree or disagree. Let's go into the final segment of the show. Let us go into TV's pick of the week. On Friday, I picked a line where the Rockets, without most of their starters, were on a 13-game losing streak, and the line was 19-point favorites to the Utah Jazz. I mean, I knew that the Rockets were gonna get battered, but I thought it was gonna be more of 17 or 15. And lucky for me, they lost by 15. So I was able to win that. I am kind of on a roll right now in terms of my pick of the weeks. I believe I'm 13-10. Which is great. Hopefully I can keep it going this week. The game I'm looking at is tonight. The Dallas Mavericks taking on the Los Angeles Clippers with the Dallas Mavericks plus 3-point underdogs. Very, very interesting in this one. And I think I'm taking Dallas here. The Clippers came off a back-to-back. Maybe because they got blown out. Some of their guys are a bit healthier. But I think that the Dallas Mavericks are going to be look, we could have beaten you last year in the bubble if Kristaps didn't go down with injury. And I think they're going to be motivated to play this game. Luka's going to be motivated to play the Clippers. And I can see the Dallas Mavericks even winning it. I really do see that. And I feel like they're the more desperate team at this point. So give me the Mavericks plus 3 in this game. This is where we're going to end today's episode. Thank you guys for listening or watching. Again, follow all my social medias at TV on Basketball on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for updates on the podcast for other content. Continue to show your support on the YouTube. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And just for any of my podcast listeners, continue to show your support. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to be back on Friday for another episode of the podcast. Maybe we'll have a guest, maybe not. I'm in the works of trying to get one, but we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, thank you guys for all your support. We're reaching 2,600 likes very soon. I think it's a lot quicker than I thought it was going to be. But I think that's all thanks to you guys. Thank you guys for all the support. And I can't wait to make some more NBA content. I might slow down these next few weeks in terms of posting because I'm pretty busy at school. I'm going to be completely frank with you guys. I have a pretty busy week. But 3 to 4 weeks left of school. I'm going to have some more time after the school year is done. And I'm going to be excited to provide even more NBA content. Maybe even the return of the Wednesday YouTube videos. So, yeah. Again, thank you guys for all your support. I'll be back on Friday with another podcast. And also just check out my social medias because I am super active on them. You guys are fantastic. Thank you guys for all your support. Hope you have a fantastic day. TV signing out. Take it easy, guys. Peace.